Good morning to those of you who celebrate. It's like the standard entry now. Say good morning to those of you who care for such things. John Happy, the lies. Well, I'm happy by the government being shut down. Do you see how it works where you can be happy about what most people think is ostensibly a bad thing? I'm happy other people aren't happy. It's usually how it goes. It's usually me or everyone else. And wouldn't you know it, fate does not usually ordain that I'm the one that will be happy. So Shorty says, truly for me, I will catch up later, Jonathan and the commies. I would like to state for the record that on the I Stand Correct YouTube channel, we have no commies here. If you identify as a commie here, it means you're a communist. Maybe you weren't ready for that, but it just happened to you. I'll probably miss you for the city for my flu shot to keep my job because yes, WFH is still mandatory since I work in healthcare. So dumb. I wish that wasn't happening to you. I wish you were still able to make those decisions for yourself. You know, vaccine injuries do happen. Uh, is there any chance you can get some kind of exemption? Jenny lives in Utah, and there are certain, should I call them power brokers or movers and shakers out there that make major policy decisions and personal decisions and like state government decisions based off of religious standards. If you ever wondered why Utah is one of the driest states in the country, um, but maybe you can make some sort of religious exemption. And I don't know, maybe you shouldn't actually be doing that if you don't actually have it. Uh, It's sort of a cheap trick to be using your faith as a get out of taking a shot card. I'm sure your Lord would not appreciate that. Chase says, I don't believe we should be paying taxes while the government is shut down. Once you know it, you're still paying your taxes. That's how you know it's not really shut down. It's not really. And certain essential services continue. If the government was really shut down, what that would look like would be like prisoners escaping from prison. Um, it would look like radically increased activity along the border as cartels and groups of immigrants desperately look to execute whatever it is their desired plans are. But the government's still out there doing things, and they're still charging you for it. So the only thing that's really shut down is the administrative state, which is probably the part we could use the least. And just the very idea that the government has non-essential workers, particularly after 2020 when we had what non-essential workers were going to be defined as. The idea that the government employs anyone that's not essential, it should really annoy the shit out of you. Why are you paying? Well, you look at your taxes every year, every April, and you're looking at this, and some of you snow yourselves. People like Brittany, you're like, oh, I'm waiting for my big refund. You feel like the government's giving you money instead of robbing you and then paying you back a pittance of your own money. It's your money. If you look at the money that you pay every year, you should be very angry that it's going towards anything that's not essential. Because your paying is essential, you don't get to decide. You don't get to decide, well, I'd rather ought not pay for that. You don't get to make those decisions, and you ought to. Dick Cheney died. Wonder how long until he starts a ghost war. I saw a meme this morning that kind of implied that he had passed away. I didn't know that he indeed had. So, Michael, you sort of are the one that told me that Dick Cheney died. Should we begin a 20-minute cosmic speculation about what it all means when you move the forces upon the face of the earth in order to enrich yourself and your friends, but you still wind up cold and dead in the ground? I wonder what people will say about that. It'll be interesting. maybe not much will be said about it. Normally, when vice presidents die, they don't make a very big deal out of it. No, man, if I'm on the wrong mic this whole time, I'll be mad. My microphone, uh, it's becoming less and less and less reliable. And because I'm on the show by myself, I can't no one's here to tell me that I sound terrible. It used to be that whenever I would log into StreamYard, it would just select the appropriate microphone for me. It wouldn't even select the microphone that's built in as an option. So, I also forget to plug in my laptop. It's just not a good morning for me. I would get an exemption, but the one I've chosen to fight the battle over. I have been getting it since 3-5-ish due to where I work. Oh, 3:05. Well, yeah, at this point, it's kinda too late. Is that what you're saying? I didn't use mine to get out. I mentioned that I didn't qualify for an exemption, and they still gave me one. Do I still sound like I'm in the bathroom? Call me out. Well, you're the one who's like, "I can't wait for my tax return." And by the way, you'll be saying this in, like, yeah, November, right around now. Uh, Talia, good to see you here. Last week, I figured that, on Friday, I figured that I made you so bad that you were probably gone for good because I got kind of worked up. You sure it's the mic's fault, not yours? Well, I'll tell you, Michael, yours is a great question. If it's my fault, then I should just quit because I'm clearly not good at this, right? Would you ride on an airplane with a pilot who constantly forgot, the main thing of what he's doing? The stakes are lower here, but it just gives you a sign that I should quit. Well, my microphone will be working just fine, and then it sounds like I'm going into the bathroom. So you tell me. I'm not doing anything, and all of a sudden it stops working. So I hear clicking, I hear popping. I don't know how to explain that because I'm not much of an electrician guy, so I don't know what that means. All I know is that any future criticism will make me quit. I am on the razor's edge here. In fact, I don't think that we have a plan. We don't have a plan or for a show on Thursday. Just letting you know, we're that close. My puns are so bad that not even the puns master refuses to acknowledge them. Is this because it's a Shure microphone? If only I could be sure in it. I will tell you that I haven't looked at this side of the microphone in many years, and it's backwards for me on my display, so I can't see it. Plus, there's a little glare here. I guess technically it's not the microphone, it's the roadcaster. But I don't know how to connect this to a computer. Is there some other way? Probably. All right. Well, Cheney stole the show. What I'll do later is I'll change the thumbnail so it's about Dick Cheney and change the title so that it's about Dick Cheney so that I can get more traffic. Because I'm talking about Dick Cheney, so it might as well be about him, right? But I'll see myself out. Yes. Have a good day. Where is Tanner? That's a damn good question. He's up to something. It's not good. Dick Cheney died. We should actually figure out how he was involved. Guys, it's easy to hate the rich. It's easy to hate guys like Dick Cheney, but do you have the courage to hate the poor? This is a serious meme. Very serious, actually. I don't know if you're aware of this, but let's take a look at all of life. Let's look at it like we're back in the classroom, back in high school, back in middle school, whatever. Were you ever one of those students that was smart and hardworking and you did all your homework and you did your lesson and you learned your lesson and then you get there and then you have the test and then the teacher passes out the test and everybody in the class failed but you. Or let's make it half. Lots of people got C's, but a lot of people failed it. Straight up F's. Half the class failed. Let's say it's a 40% that failed. We could even just say that 20% of the class failed, just one in five. Well, now the teacher goes back up to the blackboard and is trying to reteach those concepts to you that you just learned. You got an A on the test, but a lot of people got mediocre grades, and let's say 20% failed that test. One in five failed it. So now the teacher can't really move on because let's say it's a math class, and the next math lesson really depends on you fully apprehending this lesson. Let's say you're learning the order of operations, and then, the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to learn algebra next, right? Well, the teacher can't teach algebra to the class because 20% of people in there don't understand the order of operations, right? So you just passed the test, you get an A on the order of operations, you're ready to learn algebra, but teachers up there reteaching it. This happened to me frequently in high school. And so you're just sitting there and you're just like, well, I get this already. And so you're not really learning anything. You're just sitting there and the whole class goes by and she gets to the end of the day and she's just taught the order of operations. This thing you just taught, you just got an A on or whatever, analogy works best for you. Society is held back and held down by the lower quintile. We spend so much time, effort, and energy trying to make up for the pathetic, underperforming lives of 20% of all people that we cannot really achieve anything. We cannot go anywhere as a country because as a classroom and as a country, we are moving at the rate of the slowest people here. You would say that it's discompassionate to just cast them aside, to leave them to their fate. But what about the fate of the rest of the classroom? What about the other 80%? What about the rest of us that has a chance to achieve greatness? It's not very compassionate to the rest of us that we're having to be held back by the lower 20% of people that can't learn the order of operations, the lower 20% of people that are on government subsidies, on welfare, on Section 8 housing, the lower 20% that their entire subculture is about crime and violence and drugs. And these are the things they value. But because we won't leave them to their fate, our values become basically babysitting. We're going to babysit the lower 20% of our society and somehow try to rehabilitate and somehow fix them and somehow make them better than they want to be. And it's a huge waste of time and it's a huge waste of money. But not only that, switching analogies abruptly, if you will, you go to the national park, there's a sign that says, don't feed the bears. Why? Because it disrupts their ecology. They're not going to hunt. They're not going to fish for food if they know to come to the trail where people with liberal white guilt complaining about how we used to enslave bears in the circus will show up and feed the bears because of everything that we did, the generational trauma to the bears of the past. Showing up to feed those poor bears as reparations for all the bears that were in the circus 160 years ago. You have the courage to hate the poor? I'll hate the rich with you. It's very easy to hate the rich, but you have to hate the poor too, because as a society, they are doing plenty to hold you back. And maybe you should have maybe we as a country should not have, we should not be overridden by guilt to the point where we can't make any great strides anymore towards the future, towards progress, towards securing a strong future for America, a safe future for America. Instead, we're pandering to our own sense of misplaced guilt about things, about the past, and about a distant past, which doesn't actually affect any of us. I meant to feel guilty for the crimes of slavery when I never even had the pleasure of owning a slave. It's like it'd be one thing if I had to pay for this, if I had to hear about it all the time, and it was something that I actually even did. Interestingly, if we're going to continue to play a statistics game, something only like 3% of Southerners in the South had slaves. You know why? Slaves were expensive, and this is an agrarian economy. One dude owned a plantation. His family lived there. He employed a whole lot of people of all different colors, meaning white and black. And he also had slaves whom he did not pay and he did not allow to leave. Okay. But that's the the upper 1% of society. And if we're going to hold a ma- all of society accountable for the crimes of a very small margin, if we're going to hold all of society, if we're going to hold them to the standards of the behavior of a very small few, should we look at the current society of African Americans who have an incarceration rate of like 1 in 5 of that 20% of their race? If you did, you'd by applying the same logic that all white people are guilty of slavery, you would have to say that all all black people are criminals. We're not going to do that here on this show. Why would we? Because after all, I didn't have any slaves. After all, I'm not guilty of that, and therefore I do not feel bad about it. I do not feel sorry about it. But the greatest argument that I ever made, ever, for this is that, yes, white Americans held slaves, a small percentage of them. It was institutionalized, though, so in some ways you could say that all of society was guilty for enabling that or turning a blind eye to the evil of that. Okay. You can make that claim. But America also fought its bloodiest war to put an end to it. We fought our bloodiest war. Every casualty in that war was an American. All of them were 100% casualty rates. All belligerents were all Americans to put that shame and that evil behind us. We fought that war and we spilled our blood so that we didn't have to keep fucking talking about it. We put an end to it a long time ago, 160 years ago. We put an end to it. And we still have people holding their hand down. They're saying, what about slavery? What about slavery? Putting your hand out to me? For all you know, the great deeds of my ancestors were fighting for the North, fighting for the Union, fighting to set you free. And you come to me complaining about slavery? You realize that it's not every white person in this country that fought for that at the dividing line. There were abolitionists here, and you hold your hands out to the children of abolitionists saying, what about reparations for slavery? When they, through great peril of their moral conscience, put themselves out there for risk of reprisal for their extremist view. You know, Hannibal Hamlin was a vice president too, who died, like Dick Cheney. He was Lincoln's first vice president. Lincoln did not take him on his second ticket to run for president because Hannibal Hamlin was an extremist. Hannibal Hamlin was an abolitionist. Hannibal Hamlin wanted black people to be free, and that position was so extreme it got him kicked off the ticket. All this love of Lincoln and setting the slaves free, you all know that he said that if keeping slavery would have mended the country back together, he would have done that. It was Hannibal Hamlin and other abolitionists who were considered extreme radicals, but they existed, and they made certainly a strong moral case for that. You think about Amish people, Quakers, people that would devote their entire lives to their moral principles. They were putting themselves at great hazard. It was not an easy thing to do. It was not an easy or obvious choice to make like it is today for the abolition of slavery. Well, they went out there and they had great moral courage and they made it happen. But today, 160 years later, the descendants of slaves are still holding their hands out saying, what about slavery? When you're indiscriminately asking. Not only that, but do I even have to get into the idea that you look around at black people, and many of them are the sons and daughters of freed people and of people who came to this country after the Civil War and have no legacy of slavery. People like Barack Obama, he has no legacy of slavery. He's not the descendant of slaves. But back when he was running for president, when he was president, I can recall strongly black people saying, now there's one of us in the office. Now there's one of us in the White House. And I'm like, what do you mean one of us? What is it that defines you that you think also defines him? You have nothing in common with this guy. Give me a break. All right, diatribe over. you mean I got to use my own money for groceries? This is what I'm against, right? I'm not against a widow, a widower, someone who, a veteran, a civil servant, even someone who spent his whole life contributing to the system, paying into the welfare of other people, or someone who has had tragedy strike their lives, their families, and suddenly they are in need of a temporary hand up, not a handout. I have no problem with a government program that helps those people because I believe those people are few in number. And I believe that those people are the ones I'm talking about are incentivized to succeed. They're self motivated and maybe a little ashamed to even have to apply for the program. I want to take care of the people who feel some shame about it. Those people are near and dear to my heart. Anyone who fills out that paperwork and doesn't want to be seen doing it, that's the person I want to help. The person who wants to spend the money that they have on these things. Hair, nails, lips. As for you and me, when we go to work, we're going to have our bologna sandwich. Or if we go to jail, we're going to have our bologna sandwich. Or if we're going to be homeless, that's probably what we're going to get. But you're on welfare. You can literally order lobster on Amazon and have it be eligible for EBT. This isn't even a joke. You think it's a joke? You're saying, well, the get people on welfare, they eat so well. But their standards for what constitutes a good meal is so low that it's really not that good. It's like them thinking that, I saw a meme last night. My girl wanted to go someplace where they make the food in front of you, and it's Subway, right? It's not hibachi, it's Subway. And but you literally can get lobster on Amazon, and it's EBT eligible. The SNAP program is a money laundering scheme to enrich corporations that poison the American public. Most government programs are. By the way, I love the way that flag on his sleeve appears to be the flag of Ohio, which apparently has its own space program. Good to know. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Monster, Hershey's Chocolate. These are all major corporations that are subsidized by the federal government. And because those subsidies will come in by way of people purchasing junk food on EBT, they know that they can raise their prices. Has this occurred to you that it's exactly like college? You want to know why college has gotten so exponentially expensive over the past 20 years, 40 years? Ask your parents or grandparents how much they were paying to go to college in the late 70s, early 80s. You would talk about people who would work full time and work their way through college because a class would be like $60. They would work their way through college. Maybe that's an overstatement, but we're also talking about a car at a time when a brand new car was $3,000. Okay. But everything has become fantastically more expensive, especially college and universities. Why is that? And it's because they can charge whatever the fuck they want, and they can have a policy like my university of admitting 99% of applicants. My university literally put up a billboard saying, we accept everybody here. You're already accepted. Which means it's not a very good college if they take 99% of people. You think that's something to brag about? The fact that you'll take anybody that can fill out a form? But why is it? Why is it that a university will brag about their high acceptance rates? To encourage people of even middling talent academically to apply to this college. Why? Because those people of middling academic talent will also go get federal financial aid. So all these middling students that they accept, these students who have no future, who will not do well in college, who will not know how to make the best use of college, people like me, frankly, will go down to the student aid office. They'll fill out the right forms. They'll put their name and their social security number and their promises to enslave themselves towards 20 to 30 years of debt to the federal government, all for the enrichment of the university, of the college. That money comes from the taxpayer, goes into the Department of Education's coffers, and then these applicants to universities launder it to the universities, which of course is a huge money laundering scheme because then academia, well known for their liberal leanings, will then recycle that money back into the candidates, which continue uh, to pour money into the Department of Education. We would hate it to see the Department of Education cease to exist or student financial aid cease to exist. Can't imagine how much progressives would lose power if that was the case. But anyway, they punch the golden ticket. They bring in all this money, and it's at a rate that's defined by what? Not by the actual value of a college degree. Right now, we're seeing statistics that people with college degrees are just as unemployed as people without. So a college degree is meaningless. We've made it meaningless. So if anything, its market value of having a college degree ought to be going down because it does nothing for you. It doesn't do anything for you in the job marketplace to have a college degree. But its value is not being propped up by how it actually plays out on the market, right? The value of a college degree isn't the amount that you pay for it isn't actually determined by its market value because otherwise it wouldn't have any, right? If you're going to college and taking on 30 years of debt or any amount of debt, say that it's going to be $2,000 to go to college to get a 4-year degree. At the end of that 4-year degree, you still don't have any edge when it comes to the competitive marketplace for getting a job, but you do have to pay $2,000 back. Let's just say it's just $2,000. Is there any reason to do that? You're not going to get paid anymore. You're not going to have a better job. You're just going to have $2,000 of debt when you get to end. Well, it's actually closer, to what, $50,000 or more. It was $40,000 when I went 20 years ago. So why is the value of college so high? Well, it's because they can determine whatever they want and it will get paid because people will go to college and they think the federal government will pay for it. And I'll have my student loans forgiven or written off, or I won't have to worry about it, or someone else will have to worry about it, or my parents will have to worry about it, or no one will worry about it because I just don't care about the future. Bringing it home, food is the same. Pepsi, Coke, Monster, Hershey's, it's all the same. They know that even though this has no nutritional value and maybe people don't even like these things, that there's a certain portion of the population which is statistically significant, regardless of race, they will go out and buy, with EBT benefits, federal monies, they will go out and buy junk food. If you know that 1 out of every $5 that you're going to make, however many dollars that is coming from federal funds, then why not charge whatever it is that you want? What if that Cheney was older than 84 too? Yeah, you'd think so. It's because he looked old even back then. Cheney's heart has been crapping out for decades. There are those who say he has no heart. Jonathan, look into Lynset Nicole. Murdered one a case with almost 11-minute 911 call. The victim called while she was getting murdered. Gave name and everything except who did it. Is 11 minutes a long 911 call? It's longer, but I've been on longer calls than that. I should look into that, though. My question would be for you about Lindsay Nicole, I'm guessing is what her name is. Is that name trending in the news? Did it just happen? Because unfortunately, if it doesn't trend in the news, it doesn't do the podcast much good. And I like telling a good story. And, I don't know. Do I have to justify myself at this point? I've had enough failed podcasts, Do I really have to get out here and say, I do care about the story and I care about the mission and I care about the people? Well, I do, but it would be nice to have some success. I never made much money, but never wanted to be on the government dole, working 4 jobs that need to be done. That's true. I mean, I'm one of them. My friends always call me a bear. Okay. Like, yeah, I guess I have some fur, but then my teeth are lackluster. Is that what they call you that? I always thought that a financial safety net was put in place to keep crime down and to help children. So to help keep crime down? Really? So we're hostages to criminals and we have to pay their ransom? Tally, I'm not jumping on you. I'm actually just going to relax for a second. because like, I can't do this to you 2 weeks in a row. Help keep crime down and to help children. Well, who can say no to helping a child? I will tell you that the children already are eating for free at school, so, their parents really can't afford to feed them once per day. They'll eat breakfast at school before school, and they eat lunch at school. So, there's 1 meal left that day, and the parents can't feed them that day. If the parents cannot feed them that day, tell you, this is not a joke. If the parents cannot feed them that day, do you know what I wanna see from that family? I wanna see a mom and a dad or whatever. We can live in Realville. We can see a mom, and she needs to look like a Holocaust survivor. She needs to look like she is skin and bones. She is feeding herself. You don't see anybody in this country walking around looking like that, emaciated, because they're not. They're being fed just fine. And there's some, in many cases, they're being fed and they're being overfed. And their complete imbalance of calorie intake towards calories being spent at work or in otherwise engaged in a non-sedentary life is all out of order. And we, Tally, we see this every time. You can go to Walmart anywhere and you see the people that are using food stamps. If you just pay attention, you know who they are. And you know what? The ones that you don't know who they are, they're the ones I'm okay with. They're the inconspicuous ones. All right. The conspicuous ones are the ones who are abusing the program. The ones, I'll just say it, the ones that are fat. That sounds like I'm being mean or I'm shaming. You know what? I'm a fat guy. I am. I'm overweight. Okay. Doesn't make me a better person to admit that, and it doesn't make me a worse person for being overweight. But if I didn't have money to feed myself, I guarantee you I would lose a lot of weight before I would take government money because I have shame. So I'm talking about the people that have no shame, the people that are exploiting the program, the people that are overweight, the people that are spending money on Hershey's, Pepsi, Coke, and Monster energy drinks. Those are the people that I have a problem with. And EBT, I think we could all agree. I think people across the board could agree that EBT benefits ought not be spent on junk food. If you want to keep crime down, and if you really want to help the children, then why are Pepsi, Coke, and Hershey's and Monster energy drinks eligible? Don't even get me started on how the prices of milk, eggs, and bread would all come down if these subsidies were to go away and stay away. But if we are going to take care of anything, it should be, beef, milk, eggs, bread. Those are the things that feed children. So how can we say that it's about helping children and keeping crime down when the things that we're paying for have nothing to do with that? I had to take so much math and now I struggle with basic math. And it makes me look like I don't know math. Yeah, I'm very bad at it. I can't do anything. I can't even calculate a tip without using a calculator. Don't even get me started on this, by the way. You're still a British colony, for Pete's sakes. You're all slaves to the British. This is why you think you don't have slaves, Tyler, because your prime minister pledges allegiance to King George or King Charles or whoever it is. You're the slave. Sorry, that's not meant to be personal. I just had deja vu. I'm sure you've mentioned them before. Probably. All right. Bill Cosby died too, right? Could we get a 2-for-1? In one day, 2 evil guys going down? I don't know. I'll look it up. I'm the closest thing there is to a news anchor here right now, so um it doesn't indicate that he has died. So I believe he's still alive. And then next it was Native American that got money for being Native American. That's true. And let me ask you about the people who are Native Americans who get money just for being Native Americans. What kind of lives do they normally lead? I've been to the reservations. I've even been to the nice ones. You go to Glacier National Park, you literally are on a Blackfeet Indian reservation tribe. And you drive down the main drag, Broadway or Main Street or whatever it is, and there's lots of businesses there, and there's lots of stuff for tourists there. Come try our huckleberry pie. And then you drive around the block, and you'll see copper insulation, copper wiring ripped out of buildings, government buildings, holes cut in it so that they could sell the bathtub, cars up on blocks, abject poverty, just one block off of Main Street with all the tourist stuff. And you're on the reservation, and it's because they're completely subsidized. They get money, but look at how they live. And that everybody who wants a basic universal income for all of us wishes that on this entire country. They want to turn the entire country into a big dependent Native American reservation. And look at how Native Americans vote. They always vote blue. They never vote against the hand that feeds them. That's the entire scheme, everybody. You know it is. To make everybody dependent on government for basic life, for food, for housing, for transportation, so that you never vote against them ever again. It's about cementing permanent power. And that's not even strongly a political ideology. That's not me being a Republican. It's not me canceling out or criticizing Democrats or whatever. That's just the story. How it is in socialist countries. It's how it is in Canada. You try to get your healthcare taken care of there, right? They have free healthcare, even though every single person pays for it there, because the doctor's not going to work just as hard as a bus driver, or he's not going to be paid as much as a bus driver for all the schooling and everything that he has to know to be a doctor, right? I could go on all day about this. People just want something to bitch about. I did you, and you're acting like me, and argued with someone in comments who was calling Aussies convicts. Bruh, convicts? Did you really think the convicts had a say? Oh, you mean about colonizing Australia? No, you were forced to go there. You were a relocated people. You should make that you should make you should talk about that. You should get up in front of you and said, tremendous damage is done to a society whenever people are forcibly relocated. Kind of like how Australians were all forced to live here. Yeah, if anything, you were forced to go to Australia. But that's just sort of a way of kicking the can over to the UK, and so what? That will be the response from the other side. So what? They're not going to be impressed by that argument or care. They're not going to take up arms against. They're not going to try to seek reparations from the United Kingdom for the United Kingdom dumping all their convicts off on Australia. I'm never going to get to memes this episode. We're 40 minutes in. Jesus. I get EBT benefits when I first moved to Washington State, but then I got a job and no longer needed the help. I sure appreciate it for the 6 months I got it. Well, you were on it and then you got off of it. That's all that matters to me. Lobster is protein heavy. So, yes. The thing is, at one point, lobster was viewed as not valuable fish to eat. It was viewed as the bottom feeders, and in that paradigm, I would be fine with them eating lobster. But unfortunately, lobster is very expensive. Oh my God, Michael, stop it! Should I just get on with the memes? Nobody even cares. I can't even add it now that I've talked for 20 minutes about all the 40 minutes about all this other stuff. I can't even really sell the show as being about the government shutdown. I have other things here. There's so many fucking comments. I'll never get to it. Thank you to everyone who's commenting today. The echo chamber cares, John. Thank you. I feel heard. Too sad and too true to really joke about. Here's Bernie Sanders. The millionaires and billionaires dine on candy bars built for kings. Will they give us bars a fraction of the size and tell us they're fun? Just a reminder, please don't generalize a whole group of people because of how only 98% of them behave. Tokyo Sunbather here, making a good point, though. If the Tokyo Sunbather is actually in Japan, they imported 20,000 black people into Japan, and then they immediately put an end to that shit. They immediately elected people who would put an end to that forced relocation of people. How I sleep knowing some overweight freeloader won't get their flaming hot Cheetos and grape soda on my dime. Sleep very fine, even in the middle of the day. And just as a friendly reminder, people who feel like we should be spending money on foreign aid to other countries, even though that is expressly forbidden by the Constitution, just a friendly reminder that not even one of these countries that we help by sending billions to them every year, not Israel, not any of the other countries, none of them is reaching out to help the 40 million Americans who won't receive SNAP benefits in November. This should be paradigm shattering, right? We help poor people in other countries. We reach out across international borders to make a difference in the domestic lives of people who live elsewhere. We work very hard for that. We pay a lot of money for that every April 15th. But when the shoe's on the other foot, other wealthy countries all around the world do not care. They do not lift a finger. They will not make it their problem. Donald Trump often says, put America first. He often talks about how we get screwed on deals. There's a great risk in being one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest country. I would argue that we still are, although it is rapidly diminished within my own lifetime. Is it being a caregiver country means that you're going to become a chump at some point. Someone's just going to take advantage of you. Well, here we are. We've been exposed as big chumps because we will pay for the poor people in other countries to live better lives. We will pay for that. But they will not pay for our poor to live a better life. Something to think about. Let's go hard in the paint. My political position is very simple. If it's good for white people, I support it. If it's bad for white people, I oppose it. Literally, nothing more to it than that. I would say my political position is a little more nuanced than Mr. Nature and racial consciousness here. But he makes a good point. Literally nothing more than that. That's how every other race on Earth, on this planet, views politics. And he's right. That's how black people view politics. They want to do what's best for black people. Hispanics want to do what's best for Hispanic people. Women want to do what's best for women. Why is it that if a white person does what's best for white people, that's somehow racist? That's white supremacist. If white men want to make decisions that's best for white men, why is that a problem? You can't say it's because we're the majority on this planet. White people are not a majority on this planet. I think men only comprise something like 49% of the population anyway. This is before transgender politics entered the chat. So with a broad enough perspective, white men are a minority ever more marginalized, and perhaps it's time that we start playing that political game because it seems to have worked out for everyone else. And you don't have to broadcast these things. You don't have to put it on a shirt, but maybe you should be making the decisions that are best for your people, whatever they are. I mean, you're already doing that anyway, right? But why can't we say it out loud that I'm going to make a decision that's best for white people? Why can't I say that? You say that out loud and it sounds racist, right? I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to make a political decision. I'm going to vote in favor of whatever is best for white people. Well, black people are already voting for what's best for black people, and Hispanics are already voting for what's best for Hispanic people, and Native Americans vote for what they believe is in the best interest of Native American people. My point isn't necessarily even to do that. There's just that there's a double standard in effect. That if you talk about white people in anything other than a critical way, you're somehow racist. It just sounds racist, doesn't it? What radicalized you? Guys, I've been a radical. I don't mean that to say that I'm cool. I'm not. Since long before Charlie Kirk in Arena Zurutska. But this is enough to radicalize me. Seeing the people that go out to colleges and talk to people being assassinated, seeing an immigrant, someone who's fleeing violence in another country, a woman. That we've gone from a country where we held doors open for women to where we stab them on the bus and no one gives a fuck. That will radicalize me. And being 41 years old, I don't really particularly care anymore. Imagine being dead 24 years because a bunch of Muslims flew a plane into the World Trade Center. And now watching the very city you died in elect a goat-fucking jihadist to lead it. 9/11 was a success. We used to say back then, don't let the terrorists win. That was something that we said both sincerely and with irony, don't if you do that, the terrorists win. Well, they won. I'm not trying to say that Mondami is a terrorist or whatever, but everything that he fights for and espouses in his worldview is not the worldview that the people who died in those attacks held. And their survivors and their children have elected in somebody that probably would have cheered that day. And it's because they know about what white people guilt is. They know that it doesn't matter what happens, we'll eventually feel guilty about it. But that we realize, well, actors in the Middle East were simply fighting back because of how we've been tampering with them since Operation Ajax all the way back in the Eisenhower administration. And it's true, we've been fucking up the Middle East and getting involved in things we ought not to have get involved in, going all the way back to Operation Ajax and probably before then, deposing the Shah of Iran and all this, turning Iran from a Western civilized country into a Stone Age hellhole because we thought that the government, we thought that the Ayatollah would be more pro-Western United States. People said that America's chickens had come home to roost on 9/11. That was because of what we did abroad that summoned those actions being brought against us. And that mentality that 9/11 was Americans' chickens coming home to roost did not go away. It's to the point now where we feel bad for what we did and we deserved 9/11. That sentiment must exist in New York City because how could we be electing this guy? I don't say we like I'm involved. Thank God I'm on there. But you know what? I'm a big believer in federalism and people can have the local government they want and that people get the government that they deserve. And that's fucking New York for you. So as New York waves goodbye to Western civilization and embraces a very Iran-style future, good luck to you. Can't wait to see you hold out your hand for federal funds. Batman would crawl out of the pit to stop Zoran Mondami's takeover of New York City. Doesn't it seem like the plot of Dark Knight Rises, which also makes no sense, by the way? Moving away from the vitriolic political stuff, hopefully I could just get through the rest of these streams quickly because I've just ranted for 40 minutes. Insanely, just get up here and ran. Shorty, isn't it the middle of the night, by the way? Isn't it like 3:30 in the morning there? Why are you awake? Should just stay watching. Well, I feel bad. I feel like I should start setting the show at less convenient times for you so that you just stay asleep. There would be time should be times when Bugs Bunny should just remove himself from the situation. Why does he have to antagonize? Yes. Growing up is realizing that Bugs Bunny is the bad guy. Yeah, Elmer Fudd wasn't innocent, but when I first heard of the concept of generational trauma in Sociology 101, I said it's like, oh, how the Bills losing the 4 Super Bowls before I was born. The professor said I was disrespecting the victims of the Holocaust. I also saw an interesting meme last night. I don't know why I don't save all these interesting memes when I have a show that's about memes. But someone put on a meme. It's funny how, 90 years ago, all the Germans hated all the Jews for no reason, and then they went insane and tried to take over the world, but now they're fine. Like everything's cool now. And now all the comics were like, they hated the Jews for no reason. It was for no reason. None of their grievances had any legitimacy at all. It's because history was written by the victors. They didn't have any legitimate complaints. And someone wrote in the comments, the Jews will always tell you what happened to them, but they will never say why. I've never met someone who disliked me for the right reasons. Only I know why you should like me and you're wrong. Why you should dislike me and you're wrong. Please go ahead and dislike me. People who know random things are so platonically attractive to me, like, yes, let me be your best friend. Tell me about the history of liquid soap. I kind of do this. Not about liquid soap specifically. I don't know why I like this one so much, but Iron Man comes in and asks the nurse, "Nurse, how is he?" And the nurse just fucking shrugs. I don't know. Is Hawkeye gonna make it? I don't know. Who knows? Shrug. The thing is it's so much harder to convey a thought in a comic book non-verbally because, like, they had to draw her in a posture of shrugging or being unsure. They could have just drawn a nurse with a bubble above her that says, "I don't know how it will go." But they went so much harder to convey this moment non-verbally in a comic book. It's so much more work. We used to be a proper country. This coffee maker has a cigarette lighter plug on it. You can brew fresh coffee in your vehicle. Trying to figure out the reasonable application of this. I'm trying to think a truck driver or not a truck driver. I mean, a truck driver, yeah. I mean, someone that might have this when he pulls over and he's in a sleeper cabin. But like someone who drives a pickup truck out to a construction site. When you see road construction and you see that there's one pickup truck out there and it's got all the toolboxes in the back and it has amber lights that just flash all fucking day. Like the battery's never going to die. And it just flashes. People stand there sometimes. I can imagine someone plugging in a coffee maker into that thing. But that somebody who fucking drives a Toyota Tercel bought one of these things, plugged it in, and put it in the passenger seat of their Tercel. They fucking ruined the interior of the car and got burned. Microsoft, before you sign in, we need to send you a code. Also, Microsoft, oh my God, was that you that requested a code? Microsoft, oh my God, someone just signed in on your account. It's this way for everything. I'm constantly getting notifications that I've just signed in on something. You know what's bizarre, though? I'll tell you what's bizarre. So I spent a good portion of yesterday and the day before watching Hunter on Peacock. Have you ever seen this show, Hunter? It's from 1984. It's about this detective in Los Angeles, and he's like the perfect child of Joe Friday and Dirty Harry. because he has all the morals of Sergeant Friday, but he kills people as often as Dirty Harry does. Great show. Stephanie Kramer. I loved the show as a kid, but now I truly enjoy the show. Uh, where was I going with this? Oh, so I'm watching this on Peacock, and as I log into Peacock, I'm seeing that somebody's watching all these documentaries. Like, they watched the John Wayne Gacy documentary on my Peacock. I'm like, I didn't watch this. Who's watching this? No one's watching this. And that someone else had watched Jurassic World or something on Peacock. And I'm just like, who's watching my fucking Peacock? So I log out and I change the password and I log out all places. And then I sign back in. And then I go to the basement, right? It's on the same internet service provider as upstairs. It's on the same ISP, right? ISP is tied to a physical location. I try to log in Peacock down there. I get all these notifications. Someone just logged into your Peacock. Like, it's me. I'm in the same ISP. I'm in the same location. It's me downstairs. But why didn't I get any notification that someone was logging into my Peacock and watching the John Wayne Gacy documentary and watching Jurassic World? Someone else fucking signed into it and I didn't get a notification. I would love it if a notification is like, hey, bro, are you at work right now? Because someone's totally watching Jurassic World on your account. Explain that to me, hackers. And if you can hack that well, why don't you just pirate shit? Why are you streaming stuff on my account? The machine refused to recognize my humanity until I professed to believe that a sign painted to look like a traffic light is indeed a traffic light. Their machines are now gaslighting us, everyone. Click all the squares with traffic lights. Deep down, I'm sure you're a good person. Nope, there's only trash in there. I'm seeing a lot more of these lately, and I welcome it. High difficulty level escape room concept. You are laying in bed and you have 1 hour to get out of bed. Can you do it? Can you escape from your bedroom? Now that the sun is coming up earlier in the morning, I'm waking up earlier. I've said this before on the show, and those of you who are longtime fans will know this. Standard time, so-called standard time, which, if you ask me, if you're changing times all the time, there is no standard time. There's an earlier time and there's a late time. There's a time for morning people and there's a time for late people. We are now in morning people time. Sun gets up earlier, shines brightly earlier, and it's the time that favors all the real movers and shakers in this world, which is morning people. Early bird gets the worm and all this. I am a night person. I like being able to sleep later in the morning without having a fucking nuclear explosion wake me up. But it's fine because the morning people set the agenda because they wake up first and said it while I'm still asleep. It's not about saving daylight. It's not about farmers or any of this nonsense. It's about morning people versus night people. That's it. The morning people have once again asserted their dominance. Why is it so much easier to fall asleep on the couch unintentionally than to fall asleep in bed intentionally? I can go to bed and I can lay there for hours. Does that happen to you? Toss and turn, roll over, can't fall asleep. Scroll on your phone. I think it could be the phone scrolling. I think that's a big part of it. I think that's very detrimental to sleep. Whereas if you fall asleep in front of a TV show that you've seen 100 times and you kind of relax and you tell yourself, just let it play, close your eyes for a second. You can use that as noise to fall asleep. A TV is almost less engaging than something in your algorithm because your algorithm you have to pay attention to because as you scroll, something new is going to be shown to you. Do you like this? Do you not like this? Like you have to think and engage with it, which is not to say that this is critical thinking or all beneficial for you as a person. TV, you just have the TV on. It's probably why it makes sense. I fucking forgot how weird November is. There's no afternoon. It's just night after 2 p.m. Yeah. Here's one from Jenny. Last week, a customer reached past me on the register to point out the menu, and I bit him on the hand as hard as I could. Your first reaction was to bite him? No, I had time to think about it. I almost would have liked this better if they said I had no time to think about it. I just reacted. A true leader will just react. A true leader is not afraid to make the wrong decision. You have to make a decision. In the moment of crisis, at the moment where action is demanded, you've got to do something. That's what a leader is. Somebody will do something. And it might be wrong, and you might be judged for your actions later, possibly by a society that does nothing but benefit from your actions. But hey, at least you did something. You're willing to take a risk. That's what makes someone a good leader. You have to risk willing to be wrong in the moment. Full offense, but you deserve to be at peace with being alive. If somebody said this to me, I'd probably punch them in the face. All the happiness that I can derive from being alive comes from being sad about it. Tire pressure light warnings in full effect across the Midwest. I literally had to do this 1 or 2 weeks ago. Tire light came on, so I fire up the compressor. Every single one of my tires in my truck was fucking low. And I don't know if you're like me, but if you drive a pickup truck, you cannot take your truck just down to the corner gas station because their compressors don't have high enough pressure to get you up to 39 psi or what have you. They can only go up to 32. So you'll hook up the compressor at a gas station and it's not blowing hard enough to get any air in there. But like I said, I have my own compressor. So you should be taking this personal at this age. Trust me, people know what they're doing. When someone slights you, someone offends you, it was not an accident. We were all mature. We know what we're doing. We have thought about it. And whatever's happening to you is probably the 10th time that this person has thought about doing it and now has finally done it. Everybody needs to quit complaining about stores playing Christmas music in November and start writing some Thanksgiving songs. We wouldn't be in this situation if we had some Thanksgiving bangers. Can you imagine a song about being thankful? Helen Keller breaking up with someone. I think we should smell other people. I don't believe in Helen Keller. I think she's a piece of I think she's a piece of propaganda, like Rosa Parks was. That feeling when you realize that someone born in 1998 is now 45. My God. Oh my Lord, how the years have flown by. I'm haunted by the things that I've done for a Klondike bar. Literally tried a Klondike bar for the first time this summer, just weeks ago. For all the hype, it was the single most overrated piece of anything that I've ever encountered. It's not special, not worth it, not delicious, not good. Frankly, it needs to have a stick in it. I'm holding on to this thing and it's melting in my hand and it's a fucking mess. What a disaster. Feel old yet? You guys remember Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson? This is them now. The thing that really makes this perfect is Owen Wilson's wow. I think I've put this one on here before. He sprang from the cabin window as he said this upon the ice raft which he lay close to the vessel. He was soon borne away by the waves and lost in darkness and distance. And as he drifted away, I could just make out his final words. It's okay if you just call me Frankenstein instead of Frankenstein's monster. I really don't mind. The end. Nice ending. Killing yourself at your lowest point is too obvious. I'm going to do it at my peak, so they're all left wondering, why? Why did this happen? Things going so well for him. I have already peaked, so my opportunity is behind me. Every time I talk about milk, I clarify not breast milk. It's unnecessary and it makes people uncomfortable. Hey, could you give me a cup of milk out of the fridge? Not breast milk. I put this in the wrong place. I'm leaving Facebook. Some of you are mad that you're not Facebook friends with me. It is what it is. I'm leaving Facebook behind. Came back to Facebook this month. I'm seeing the same old tired crap. It's just groups that I'm not even a part of, groups I'm not interested in, and every single political thing that I see that I am faintly interested in, usually it's Babylon B or not the B, but I see boomers saying the same old tired, stupid crap, and I get sucked into it where I demand that they rationalize their viewpoint. It's a massive time suck and it's a waste of time, and I get shown all kinds of crap that I don't care about. And Facebook's just not fun anymore. It used to be fun. But anyway, I wanted to give you all a taste of what it's like to be my Facebook friend because you're all my podcast friends, I guess. But this is what you're missing out on by not being my Facebook friend. And I think you'll see that it's okay that I go. This is my post from June 25, 2021. Me trying to be more empathetic. What the hell are you feeling? Yeah? Is that good? May 10th, 2022. I am grumpy every day until 10 o'clock. Every day. I try to sleep through to that hour so that nobody knows about it. I don't settle down to the brunching hour. It's very true. That's why the show starts at 10:30. September 3rd, 2018. This is my text message of the day. Someone texted me, "You are truly the backbone of 911." I read that as backbone of 9/11. And for a second, I was really pissed off because I was 16. Call me the backbone of 9/11. May 30th, 2022. People say, don't be afraid to face your fears, but your fears will kick the living shit out of you. That's why you're afraid of them. Use your brains, people. Fear your fears. Feel like you're missing out yet? This one's not by me. But I mean to include it this week. I should have put it near the end. The word retard is not meant for people with handicaps. It's meant for non-handicapped people who are stupid. So if you don't understand this, you are a retard. I'm probably going to be putting this in every single week, so people understand that when I'm calling them a retard, I'm only doing a disservice to them and to not the handicapped. Maybe it's actually a disservice to the handicapped to liken a stupid person to a handicapped person. In that sense, it's rude. It's rude to a whole group of people that don't deserve to be slighted, whereas one stupid person does. This is the biggest downgrade in human history. Probably the biggest contributor to people just playing shit out loud in public places. Yeah, I was at the fucking airport last month, and this guy from Iran is just sitting there having a loud conversation, talking out loud, holding the phone in front of his chest, and I can hear the person answering him. Mammals have evolved into anteaters 12 times since the dinosaur age, study finds. Suck it, crabs. The future is anteater. We're all just evolving towards anteaters. That's why evolution doesn't make sense. You're telling me other species have evolved into anteaters? What? But the horseshoe crab's not evolved at all, so the horseshoe crab must be a perfect creature, right? Okay. There's only one way to pass an exam without studying for all those people going to college. If someone dies during an exam, all the other students present will pass. If the university burns down or is destroyed, all current students immediately graduate with a bachelor's degree. A student who gets hit by a campus shuttle bus will receive free tuition. All of this is great. All of this is good to know. I also looked into how my student debts could be canceled when I got out of college, and it was that they were only cancelable through when I had permanent blindness or deformity, disability, or death, all of which seemed like options. But this is just go to show you that a degree is functionally useless if, like, they'll just give you one on your honor because their university has been destroyed. Yep, the university was hit by a comet and everyone gets bachelor's degrees. You're all able to compete in the free market now. Yay! All it took was a fucking comet. I guess I didn't have to learn anything for 4 years. She died doing what she loved, walking into the road while saying, "Pedestrians have the right of way." If I deposited $2,000 into your Cash App right now, what would you use it for? Evil. What do you mean? I would use the money for evil. This is why good things aren't happening to you. You pray sometimes, God, why can't I win the lottery? Why can't I find money? Why can't I inherit something I didn't know was coming to me? Why can't the bank make an error in my favor like in Monopoly? It's because God knows you use the money for evil. You just would. Who are you kidding? So I did show you what it was like to be my Facebook friend. I wanted to show you what it is like to also be my this is also from Facebook, but then what it's like to be my Snapchat friend. This is me in March of 2022 screaming at the dog about the prices of gasoline. Dana snaps me to say, "I'm sorry I can't vote." Ah, poor dog. It's not her fault, she says. I can't vote. I didn't vote for Biden. All right, guys, it's No Noise November. Everyone shut up. Just shut up. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. Don't get on the radio. Everybody shut up. All right, that's the end of those memes. So I will now try to go to the end of the comments. Amy is here. I think that's Buttercream is her real name is Buttercream. Preach it, Bernie. Oh my lord. I was worried now with you that that you're going to see something like that, and I hope you don't take Bernie Sanders seriously as a thinker, or as anything other than a scoundrel in that exact scenario. Considering how many houses he has, and you probably have a very humble domicile. He is a millionaire. It's not a matter of Google. He does have multiple houses. All right. You guys ever wonder why nobody new ever shows up? Why can't I expand my audience to new people? Why is it there's only 11 people on Earth who can tolerate listening? I find with everything that meme except for the goat part. We need more accepting and goat attracted persons. That will fucking happen at some point. Because I never thought we would go from pedophile to a minor attracted person. So bestiality will be accepted at some point in our lifetime. And you know what's really weird is that this was actually like presaged by Law and Order SVU. Back when I was watching the show, back when it was still good, like in 2005. At one point, they capture this person who's a pedophile, and he says, "Society is normalizing all these things. It will all be normal someday." He said that, and like a chill went down my spine because I knew at the time that it was true. And just if you look at how bad Law and Order SVU is now, like even the show's bad. Like the bad guys definitely won, and the same is true for Law and Order, but for society in general. The fact that we don't call people pederasts or pedophiles or chomos anymore. We call them minor attracted persons. We grant them the dignity and respect of being someone who's apparently wired that way, rather than just blowing them away. You know, when a bee that has a virus comes to the nest, the other bees will stick to death because they know he's bad for the nest. Why are bees smarter than us? Nar. You gotta tell them nar. 424 down under here. Ah, bloody Chunda. It's almost 4 a.m. Gotta get up, go murder a brown snake. That's my Australian accent. I loved Hunter when I was a lad. I know, just him driving around in his dark green 1977 Dodge Monaco with the dog dish hubcaps, and he puts the red light on the roof and kills someone in every episode. Honestly, I liked that show when I was a kid, but now that I'm adult, I can't believe how good the show is. Like, if you are sick of the modern world, if you are sick of liberalism, if you're sick of hug a thug mentality, if the George Floyd era of policing has completely demoralized you about life in this country, turn on an episode of Hunter on Peacock and look at how this country viewed policing in 1984. Because there are people who are coming into the department, including the captain, who thinks that they should do it. Though the captain and Hunter, Captain Kane, thinks they should do policing the way that they do it now. And every single police officer in that division is against him for it, including Sergeant Rick Hunter. And he'll speak to those points. Like at one point, this is almost insane, but the captain's just like, "You will fire warning shots. You are not to shoot to kill in this division." And he just lays into him. He's like, "Do you have any idea how many police officers have been killed while trying to lay down warning shots? You have no idea what it's like to roll up on a car for having a tail light out, and you don't know if you're just going to get a breath full of booze or a bullet or a belly full of lead. You have no idea what it's like to actually be a police officer." And just hearing these sentiments on a cop show is amazing because Law and Order has sold out. All these other shows have sold out. Whatever it is that you like, whether it's FBI or CSI or NCIS or whatever your cop shows are, none of them have a character who's speaking conservative points so well. And Law and Order tried to do it with Jeffrey Donovan when they revived the show in 2021 or whatever. They tried to have him be the conservative voice of policing, but he just sounded like a buffoon. You want to know what conservative policing sounds like? Just watch an episode of Hunter. They should be remaking Hunter and they should not be liberalizing it. Believe me, it would do very, very well if you had and it doesn't have to. I don't want to actually see Hunter coming back, but like a show that's like that, where you have someone speak intelligently and strongly on conservative viewpoints of life, society, morality, but policing. But Hunter is like this really. He's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. You would even call him a feminist. He chooses Dee Dee McCall as his partner. He wants a woman partner. It's not sexism that's his problem. Just like modern Republicans, sexism and discrimination is not a problem for us. We have a problem with a lot in society. Hunter, just a perfect show. Watch it if you can. I know that you probably won't because who's going to watch a show from 1984? But you should watch it. John, here in the US, thank you, Michael. We just changed our clocks back on 11/2, not in early October in Russia or wherever it is that you live. I did claim that it happened multiple times before it did. Uh, I had a crush on the chick from Crocodile Dundee when I was little. Also married Tyler Moore. It's always good to see you very active in the chats, Michael, telling us all these things. I like how you say Mary Tyler Moore from the Dick Van Dyke Show as if there was not a Mary Tyler Moore show. Do you not realize how hilarious this is? I liked Mary Tyler Moore from the Dick Van Dyke Show, but not from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Are you not aware? You liked her, but you're not aware she had her own show named after her? It's fine. There's a certain female YouTuber that if I fall asleep listening to her, she becomes a character in my dream. And don't fall asleep watching a short because it will repeat in your dreams too. Is it Andrea? It's the only female on YouTube that I know about. Exactly why I listen to old episodes of Com Center to fall asleep. Yeah, right. I can actually see when the episodes get a viewing, I could tell. Man, your servo air only goes to 32 or goes up to 50 PSI. Well, we also don't get to have coffee in cigarette ports in our cars anymore. I remember that. Yes. What would you do for a Klondike bar? Would you kill a man? I aggressively told my coworker how to pronounce the word rotunda after he said rotundra for the 9th time. She definitely took that personally. Tell you, I want you to, without looking or checking, I want you to spell or type the word for a part of a man's tuxedo that goes over his belt. It's usually the same color as his vest or his tie. It's often made out of satin, but it's a part of a man's tuxedo that goes over his waist, separates his shirt from his bottoms. It's usually the accent color. Like I said, it's the color of the vest. It's the color of the tie or the pocket. garnish. I don't know what you call it. But I want you to type out or spell. It starts with a C, the part of a man's tuxedo. And I want to see if you should be calling out people for their spelling. Because this is something that everyone always gets wrong. So I'm kind of putting it to a test. I wish Joni were here. Because I wanted to ask Joni whether or not she forced any restaurants to close. Just ending the show here now at 1 hour and 22 minutes. I leave crack face alone. I have a coworker who always says "warsh," like it literally has the letter R in it. It's just one of 10,000 things about me that baffles her. If I won the lottery, it would look like a Michael's store. Your apartment. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, other than you must be very crafty. Tyler's not on Instagram. He's made many strong points about that. Let's see. Can anyone tell me why the eye doctor needs your eyes to be dilated for hours later? I don't know why, but boy, you sure are asking that in the right place. Hey, dead leg. Sorry, you got here 4 minutes ago. When did you start following this channel? Nice to see you here. I know, John. She was a housewife at the DVD to great sense of humor. Every young boy's dream. Oh, Dick Van Dyke. Yes, but she was not a dream once she was a young woman trying to make it on her own in a big city. Did she work at a newspaper? I don't really remember. I finally had my big surgery a few weeks ago. Been in recovery. I don't know anything about your surgery, but I'm worried that you got your leg cut off. And Ted, like, we are old friends. And I know that you know me well enough to know that I would never mean this personally against you. But you know, and I have said on the record, I don't like amputees. It's a failing of mine. Don't like it. Yes, I know you're in constant pain. You've been feeling nothing but misery for years and years and years and years. And I, the caring dear friend, should be willing to see you through anything to see it into your pain. But amputees are weird. And stumps are weird to me. They're weird in the house. I cannot tolerate them. You know, when I was growing up, we had way more Vietnam veterans walking around, and it was way more common to just randomly see someone who didn't have an arm. It was totally normal back then. My mother-in-law doesn't talk good. Makes me cringe. Warsh. Pilla. Does that mean that you have a stump now? Because I cannot tolerate that. She worked for News Show. Oh, yeah, it was an Ed shoe and Ted Knight, right? You don't like aperitif? Yes, good grief. Well, I've said it before, Talio. It's not even the most controversial of my takes. The other thing I hate about Dead Leg is him being a veteran, one of these most selfish types of people out there. No, I'm just kidding. I hate him for being an amputee and a veteran and being helpful. I hate everything about him. With all due respect. With all due respect, I hate amputees and I hate veterans. Oh, all right. That's the end of the show. I've done enough damage, haven't I? Haven't I hurt enough people today? Ridiculous. All right. Everything about it is excellent. I put my carts back. Those cart people are the worst. It's true. He's heard me say that about cart people. But the reverse things are all kind of wrapped up in each other. I'm sure I've told you the story about the time when I was in a grocery store parking lot, and there was a guy. The story about why I don't trust people in wheelchairs. You guys actually want to hear the story about why I don't trust people in wheelchairs? It's a true and legitimate story. It's a very, very, very real story about why I don't trust people in wheelchairs. And I assume he was an amputee. I think that he was. Like, there's so much blind rage looking back through the lens of that memory that I don't even remember that specific detail, but that was probably part of it. I probably, I never liked amputees because of the weird stub things, which they love to show off, by the way. They love to wear shorts and then they show how they have the fake leg, the little springy leg thing, or like how the leg is a dagger, like in that British movie about the spies and Samuel L. Jackson's the bad guy. You know the movie that I'm talking about, Kingsman. The lady has like swords for legs. Very bizarre. That's how your typical amputee is, by the way. It's not that they're always swords, but they're always implements of some sort. An ice cream scoop, something. Usually on the arm is when it's an ice cream scoop. It's not always a hook. Um, sometimes it's a spatula or whatever. Uh, whatever. I do hate people. I don't hate people in wheelchairs. I distrust them, but I also hate them because you drive all over this city and wherever you go, there is no fewer than 4 spaces for handicapped people to park. You're going to tell me per capita in our society in a parking lot where there are only 20 spaces to park, you're telling me that a quarter of those, a fifth of those should be dedicated to handicap parking. Not only that, but you're also presuming that there's enough handicapped people in wheelchairs that they're at all businesses simultaneously all the time. You're gonna tell me that you go to Five Guys and there's 3 handicap spaces, and you go across the street to Dairy Queen, there's 3 handicap spaces there. You go back across the street, 1 over, you're at H&R Block, and there's 3 handicap spaces there. You go over back across the street, um, you're at the post office, there's 3 or 4 handicap spaces there. You're gonna tell me in a block with 4 businesses that there are 12 people there simultaneously in wheelchairs. It is a scam. I don't hate pirates. Actually, I caught myself with this last night. I was looking at a bag of candy, leftover Halloween candy, and I saw a pirate on it with an eye patch. And I said, "Oh, I hate that guy. I hate anybody that's only got one eye. I hate it because it's just the amputee of the face." But then I realized, no, 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 no. You know the truth about pirates. They're brilliant tacticians. They know that they have to preserve their night vision. They're when they're above deck, right? They're out in the sun. The fucking sun's up there. They're above deck. And then if they have to go below deck, there's no electric lights on an old sailing ship, on a seafaring vessel. So they go below deck. They go down the ladder into the deck uh, below. They'll be in complete darkness. They can't see shit. So now if you're in a tactical situation, you're being boarded, you need to go down there to fire a cannon or something. You're gonna go down to the deck below and you're gonna be caught completely off guard by blindness. No, you just switch the eye patch over. This eye is completely ready to go in the dark. That's all it is. It's a tactical decision. Pirates are smart. You can't tell me that every single pirate you ever met, just like the preposterousness of the statistics of there being 12 people all in a wheelchair, all within 4 businesses, all adjacent to each other. You can't tell me that every single pirate has been in a situation in which they've lost an eye. I just don't believe it. It literally is about preserving that night vision. So I don't hate pirates because pirates are smart. Okay. Now, when it comes to peg legs, pretty pissed off. Don't like that. All right. Yeah. The whole parrots thing makes me mad too. You're right. I do hate pirates. I tried to end on a positive note, saying that there was a class of people I don't hate. But you know what? Anyone who watches this who's not my friend or a regular watcher of this show would just say, "Well, this guy hates people anyway." I mean, my first meme of the day was that I hate the poor. When you start the show with a meme about hating the poor, like, where do you go from there, right? There's no saving that show. All right. I do hate the pirates. Even DVD pirates. It's like, hurts the economy. Who cares? John's a weirdo if you haven't noticed. I'm making Christmas shrinky dinks. I am perfectly happy. All right. No one wants to hear the story about why I don't trust people in wheelchairs because now one person said it. So it's a real story, too. My buddy always called me Peg after I told him I don't know if I want that to read that. John has already been trying to get rid of my liberal ass from the start. Gosh, I try to shake you loose, tell you with screaming at you, telling you that your ideas are bullshit like last week. I could go completely unhinged. The pin falls out, I'm on edge. But you know what? You need to do your part, Tyler, who to show up every single week, in an attempt to keep me honest about things. You're always welcome here. And I don't know if we're connected any other way. I don't know if you can reach out to me on Instagram, but I'm just gonna say this now. I'm a huge ass. I often put my foot into my mouth. It happens all the time. Um, offer apologies so simply as boilerplate. Sometimes I just end encounters like I'm sorry for everything because I know that I've said something I should be sorry for. But if I ever really, really, really get on your nerves, and if I ever really, really, really bother you with something I said or how I said it, you can do one of two things. You can either just not ever come back here ever again. Who could blame you? Who needs noise in their life? Who needs garbage in their life? Who needs irritation? Why import that into your life? You notice my sister is still not here, but reach out to me. Let me know that you didn't appreciate the way that I handled it. And I would say probably a good 6 out of 10 times, I'll probably try to see reason and try to say, like, I'm sorry I didn't handle it so well, or I'll try to explain to you why I'm so passionate about a particular issue or why I care so much or the reason why I see it so strongly this way. And, but I'm not here to convince you of anything or to change your mind. Or I don't need you to think like me. I'm not here to change anyone's viewpoints. You can think whatever you want to think. And, I don't, this is going to be difficult to explain. I don't have to respect your thoughts, but I should still respect you as someone who is in my audience. So maybe I don't have to respect the way that you come about to your rationale, your way of thinking, or the way that you believe what you do. If I respected it, then I would probably be feeling those ways myself, right? But I can treat people who think differently than me with respect. So if I ever piss you off or really bother you, I guess I encourage you to, if you want, to try to make right with me, and I'll be amenable to that because I don't really see any reason to ruin your life. I listen because I like to learn and take it all in. Well, I like your attitude. I like that you think that someone who disagrees with you so profoundly might still have something to offer. That's very nice. And I think that's such a nice way to end the show that I shouldn't even come back until after Christmas. What do you guys say? Really go out on a high note. Thanks to everyone who is here. Talu, appreciate you. Shorty Rides, I appreciate you like forfeiting sleep, waking up early. John, clip that. You're a huge ass. Oh, I'll say it again. I'm a huge ass. Everyone knows that. Um, but thanks to everyone who was here. Talu, Butter Queen, who called me out for hating pirates. Deadleg, who showed up. Please don't ever post pictures of your stump or anything on Instagram. You know, nobody needs to see that. Interesting to see you here. Still using that picture I drew of you literally 3 years ago. You know, it's nice when you make someone a profile picture, and then they use it for all time. Tyler, good to see you here. Weird that Felony Melanie was not in the chats today. Wonder where she's at. She's legally required to be here. She's a clear violation of the law. Chase was here at one point. I know that D is often here and doesn't chat at all. So, is there anyone I missed? Thanks for watching. I'm glad the government shut down. If you don't notice that they're gone, you don't need them in your life. And if you do notice, then you're perhaps a little over dependent. And I know a lot of those people are federal employees who are going to work and doing the jobs that keep us safe, like a corrections officer is case in point. You're doing your part for your community, but just remember that you need to do right by you and your family first. And you don't owe anybody anything. If you're a correctional officer, federal correction officer, federal employee of some kind. I get that you're trying to be in a delicate balance between working towards your future and showing commitment towards a job that you've dedicated yourself to. But take care of your family. If that means you got to quit what you're doing to put food on your plate, then go do that. Because we're not entitled to anything of the good things that you have. And I guess I would rather see you taking care of yourself. Jenny says, "Stop dropping the damn dice." I'm sorry. It's actually a 9mm round I'm playing with. I always play with something. I'll put it away. Apparently that was really loud. Sorry, everybody. All right. Everybody have a good day. I appreciate everybody that was here for the show. I'm now thoroughly annoyed with myself. Everybody have a good day.